Hello, last report. This is Jim Pro with JP2 Risk Management, and the photographer today has been Jim Goss and my co-pilot. A couple things that week, put out a noon report. We looked at and we got the numbers from the USDA, kind of the highlights, and most of you probably have seen them. Corn at 89.1 million acres, that's up 1.1 million from the March report. Soybeans at 89.5, that's up 600,000 acres from the March report. So that's an additional 2.7 million acres. But if you remember back, for those of the clients of mine, there was about 3 million acres that weren't really accounted for in the March USDA planting intentions report. So they've shown back up here on this one. So markets didn't get hurt too bad today. We'll still have to watch weather and usage and some other things, and that's for another day. A couple things. What I want to do is talk about the last two stops. We stopped in McLean County. This is another farm that Jim manages, and 40,800 on the stand count. Tassels are out, silks are out, crop looks tremendous. And then we are now, this is our last stop of the trip. We are on the Champaign-Piatt County line, just north of Mahomet. This is another 36,300 on the stand. It is shedding pollen, and this is actually the first field that we've actually got that Jim's had pollen that's actually been that he's been getting on him. And unfortunately, he's also allergic to it, so he'll have a nice evening with Zantac. So let's take a look. A couple things I want to just talk about this trip. One is I want to thank my partner in crime, Jim Goss. He's with AG Farm Management. That's a farm property manager out of Urbana, Illinois. And by all means, if you've got some interest in talking to him about what he does, give him a holler. JP2 Risk Management is my wife, Jean, and I, and we do crop insurance and grain marketing for families in the Midwest, about 4 states. So just a little bit, kind of a wrap up on this trip. So we're going to hit about 1,965 miles for the trip, which meant if we only had driven straight west, we would be in San Francisco tonight or today, eating at Chinatown. So that included 23 stops, looking at 6 different states. No fast food, which is a rule of ours. We've been doing this 7 years, and this trip was about a 37-hour road trip from a standpoint of the time we've been driving. So it's been good. I'm glad we could share it with you. I think our most important takeaway is this crop looks pretty stout from start to finish. There are clearly some issues in Minnesota. As you move from Iowa City really back to Champaign, the water damage in beans starts to become less and less. Although we see a little bit of discoloration, that's really not a huge issue. The beans have got really good weed control for the most part. Corn is, wherever you're at, the corn in that particular area is pretty consistent, and I would not expect it to fall apart unless we get 30 days of some tremendously poor weather. I think this crop's going to be pretty good. So thanks again for following us, and please I want to shout out to Lansing Trade Group out of Kansas City. They sponsored the trip, and we certainly appreciate their sponsorship as we went out driving around the Western Corn Belt. Thanks again to my partner Jim, and we'll see you next year.